Hi everyone. Well, we're finally at a chapter that's all new for everybody. We're at chapter 25, and Genevieve has said that she's not stopping now until she finds Remy. So let's see if she can. I don't know. I dreamed last night, a mixed up dream of my school at home, with its cornerstone that read 1914. I awoke wondering what my father would have been doing that year, the beginning of the Great War in Europe. I slid out of bed in a hurry to get started, but when my feet touched the floor, the pain from the blisters and the muscles in my legs was amazing. Rocking back and forth, I knew I'd never be able to get on the bike today. I was filled with anger at myself and that old bike. I hobbled into the kitchen. Maymay was pulling on an ancient jacket that might have belonged to my grandfather. I'm going out to the field. Maybe I'll find a vegetable or two. She stopped. What's the matter, child? I raised one foot to show her, and she winced. Sit. How can I look for him? I said bitterly. I can't even get as far as the road. Rest a while. She went out the door. Did she ever rest? Katrin was hurrying up the gravel path, head down, her books in her arms. I didn't want her to see my feet or to know what I'd been doing. I pulled my robe around me. Katrin passed Maymay, who was leaving the barn, and came to the kitchen door. I had no choice. You can come in. Are you sick? I shrugged. Listen, Jen, just for a minute. I went to Leanne. I asked her if she had told anyone about Remy. I wrapped the robe tighter around my ankles. She probably told a dozen people, I said, forgetting that I wasn't going to say a word to her. I saw her shake her head from the corner of my eye. Then I looked toward the window at Maymay disappearing across the field. Leanne said she was sorry, that she didn't remember what I told her. She'd been practicing a Bach piece for church in her head. Katrin reached across the table, but I moved my hands away. Leanne said she knew I was saying something, but she just kept nodding so I wouldn't be disappointed in her. I swallowed. It sounded like Leanne, paying no attention in school, playing an imaginary piano all day. I had to believe Katrin. But what about Claude? I saw him after school. He was furious with me for asking. Do you think I'd give the Germans one thing? He yelled at me, his face red. Do you think I'm not French? So it was your mother. I closed my eyes. I didn't want to see the tears in hers. Never. And remember, you told me, Genevieve. She was right. I have to go to school, she said. But think about it. We said we'd be friends forever. I should have called her back, but I waited too long. By the time I managed to get to the window, walking on the sides of my feet, she was halfway down the path running. She never heard me. For a while I sat in my robe with my bare feet on a kitchen chair, sipping coffee without coffee. I wasn't even hungry. I sank onto the cold stone floor, holding my ankles, turning my feet so I could see the thick blisters. If only I could have gone after Katrin. It was too hard even to go back to the table, impossible to go to my room and throw myself on the bed. After a while I slept. Maybe that was why I didn't hear the motorcycle rumble up the path and around the kitchen door. Banging was loud. I jumped up, opening my eyes. First stared in at me. My heart drummed against my chest. What was he doing here? Never mind the pain. I stood up and hobbled to the door as quickly as I could. I'm back, Fräulein Meyer, he said, as if I'd be glad to see him. I swallowed, nodding. What happened to your feet? He rested his briefcase on one of the chairs and his suitcase on the floor next to him. It's nothing. The pain was so bad I could hardly talk. I'll require the bedroom again, he said. The painting. If you come back later, my grandmother and I will have it ready for you. He looked around. Where is she? I waved my hand. Outside somewhere. I saw your dog. I wonder where he was when I was here last. He stared at me. I wonder, too, where the boy was. I thought about saying, what boy? But it was hard to think. Already, first was on to food. I was told about your hoarding food in an armoire, he said. Food that I was denied. I could hear something in his voice. Fury? If only I weren't alone here with him. He shrugged, took a breath. I'll drop my things off upstairs and be back for dinner tonight. The quilt, I said, the bed. It was too late. He ran around the table and climbed the stairs, carrying his things. I took 3 steps to the table and tucked my feet underneath. What would we do about Louis? What could we do? He'd have to stay here. There was nowhere for him to go. And what about upstairs? Were there marks on the windowsill from where I'd gone out on the roof? I closed my eyes. He'd see the painting, of course. His footsteps were on the stairs again. He came into the kitchen, humming, carrying May's painting. Please, I said before I could think. It's May when she was young. He stopped humming. You hid this from me. He propped it up on the table where I could see May's lovely face. He stared at it. A fine work. It really wasn't fair of your grandmother to hang that terrible painting of the Vosges in my room. He flicked imaginary dust off the top of the frame. Selfish. Don't you know the power I have? How important I am? Please, I begged. You'll have some paper. We need to wrap this. I didn't answer. Perhaps you'll look, Fraulein, he said. You know what's in these cabinets. I don't know, I began. I did know. May kept wrapping paper in a drawer on the other side of the room. His voice changed. Stand up and look. I put my hands on the table's edge and pushed back the chair. I managed to walk across the room and open the drawer. I hobbled back to the table and folded the paper around the painting. Would I ever see it again? Let me see your foot. It's nothing, I said again. Do it! I raised one foot. Burned, he said. I caught my breath, thinking of the explosion at the station. Would he think... I dropped a pot of boiling water. Perfect boiling water, bare feet. He picked up the painting and went out the door, closing it behind him, and sped away on the motorcycle. I realized he'd left his briefcase upstairs. I counted to 50, then took the ring of keys and went up to the bedroom on my knees. His briefcase was there, next to the bed. I fiddled with the lock, and it was open. Ah, first, I whispered. Not so careful after all. I searched papers, numbers, arrest, all in German, of course, and then the name followed by a word. Rolf. Missing. Rolf. Remy? 2 more names. The first, Woodcutter, Strudorf. My hand went to my mouth. Strudorf. The concentration camp. I had heard it was the only one in all of France, and then... Albert, the teacher, his house, school, today. I closed my eyes. Herr Albert would be at school. I closed the case and sat on the stairs, bumping down, each step as fast as I could go, legs stretched out in front of me. I didn't stop for my coat. I managed to slide into my wooden sabots, then went to the bicycle, crying out with the pain, pedaling down the gravel path away from the farm. I was just able to hide at the edge of the woods as I heard the motorcycle. First remembering and coming back for his briefcase. I waited only for a moment, then kept going, feeling the wetness in my socks as blisters broke. Past the village at the school, I threw the bicycle down where it couldn't be seen and peered along the empty hall, hearing the voices of students, of teachers. At the classroom, I raised my fingers to the little window, and of course, Herr Albert saw me. I beckoned, and he came to the door, opened it a few inches, and came outside. You are sick, he said. Go, I said. Leave. They're coming for you. Don't go home. Go to the bookshop. He pushed me away from the door so I couldn't be seen, then opened it, Father saying, Go on with your work, to the students. Herr Albert, precise even now. We hurried out of the school building. He stopped to put his hand on my shoulder. I'm grateful more than you know, he said, but I'm not surprised. Hurry, I said, and please tell Monsieur Philippe that the woodcutter was taken to Struthof. I'm sorry, Herr Albert said. Poor man. Try not to be seen as you go back home. He took the back road to the bookshop, and I pedaled to the farm, my feet pulsing with pain. Okay, guys. You're going to have to wait for the next chapter. I'll read it soon. So, the woodcutter, we knew that his house was raided. Well, they got him and took him to a concentration camp, and they were going to take Herr Albert too. They apparently discovered that he was a spy, but Genevieve warned him in time. We're going to have to see what's happened next, and who's the person who's warning them and telling them all of this. Okay, I miss you. We'll read it soon.